circle, where the shark will have his body and the devil have his soul. With a big bow wow, bow wow wow, howdy roly right up there.
Your sponsors would be set all the flyers, trying to catch hollyhocks when chickens dust, while souls of all around sailor man. Rolling home across the sea, rolling home to Alameda, rolling home. And the waves behind us lie in the morning. Here she comes, swinging through the ringing. Here she comes, hey, hey, up she rises, hey, hey, up she rises, hey, hey, up she rises early in the morning.
Get your bananas ready.
Get your bananas ready. Get your bananas ready.
Way hey, up she rises, way hey, up she rises, hey, hey, up she rises early in the morning. That's what we do when you drink me sailor. That's what we do when you drink me sailor. Early in the morning. Way hey, up she rises, way hey, and up she rises, way hey, up she rises early in the morning. Woo! Put him in charge of an Exxon tanker. Put him in charge of an Exxon tanker. Early in the morning. Hey, hey, up she rises, hey, hey.
Can I please have one of
Keel haul him till he's sober. Keel haul him till he's sober. Keel haul him till he's sober. Early in the morning. Way up she rises, way up she rises early in the You got any words or want to finish it? Now that's what we did with the drum. So you learn that's what we did with the drum. That's what we did with the drum. Uno más.
Very good, very good, very good.
Time to blow the man down. Blow the man down. Bullies, blow the man down. Way, hey, blow the man down. Blow him right back down to Liverpool town. Give me some time to blow the man
Thanks everyone for enjoying that musical interlude. You can thank my crazy ass for sitting there in the corner with my phone half hooked up on whatever I was hooked up on. So what we're going to do is we're going to move things around a little bit at this point. I'm going to go ahead and roll some of the tributes we have. As a matter of fact, I know, hi Rachel, thank you for pointing out that I spelled Skip's name wrong. What a horrible, I should be ejected for that. He was Henderson.
Never apologize.
Yes, screw you all. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and I do what I want. Anyway, so let me roll a couple of the tributes. We have about 4 tributes out there, and I'd like to introduce to you one of them, Rachel from Key West, Florida, Starboard Sarah, Rachel Siegel. So check her out. She did a really nice tribute.
Ahoy, everybody. I'm Rachel Siegel, also known as Starboard Sarah in the pirate community. I played with a group called Tricorn, the Pirate Band. We had the privilege of playing with Skip and meeting him at St. Augustine. probably about 10 years ago. And at one point, you'll see this flag behind me. It's our Conch Republic flag here in Key West. And one time I was going to send him one, and I had sent him a message asking what his address was. And it took a little while, but I finally got this message. I just thought it was kind of funny. I wanted to share it with you. He said, "Hi, we've been, quote, away on our sailboat up the river on the Sacramento Delta, and your missive got put in the wrong cyber bin. It's nice to hear from you." Then he sent along his address, but then gave instructions that all bombs must have return addresses. Regards, Skipperson. So then eventually I send him a burgee, so a small version of this flag. And then a couple weeks later I got a message. "I got a flag. I got a flag." And then one of those guilty bastards from the starboard watch stole it and ran it up the starboard spreader line of the schooner, where I noticed it 3 days later. So I was happy to hear that he got it, and I just always treasure these messages that I received. So I wanted to play a few tunes on the button box.
Okay, everybody. Thanks, Rachel, for that amazing performance. I can tell you're very expressive. You can now, because I fixed it. Thank you. I hope. So let's find out real quick. Okay, so Rachel, thanks for that. That was amazing. I really love your expressive mouth movements. Yeah, that really hits the spot. We are going to try. We've got a Mark Miller out of Orlando, Florida. He sent us a couple of tributes. Let's try one of those. Mark, take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Mark Miller and I am the concertina player for the Rusty Cutlass Pirate Band here in Orlando, Florida. Yep, Skip was bi-coastal and I am so sorry that I cannot be there today. I really wish I could to help honor Skip. Thank you to Miranda and to Mordecai for allowing me to be a part of this celebration. I met Skip in 2001 in New Orleans. I introduced myself and said I'm a concertina player, and Skip just grinned and he pulled out a bottle of 151 Captain Morgan's. He said, "You want a drink?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And we were close friends from then on. I'll miss him very much. I would like to do two of his songs. One is the Quilty Hornpipe, and the other is Song of a Ship. Ships are the nearest things to dreams their hands have ever made. For somewhere deep in their oaken hearts, the soul of a song is laid. A soul that sings with a ship along through plunging hills of blue, and fills her canvas cups of white with winds that drive her through. For how can a nail and a piece of wood tied to a canvas thread be carved upon a midnight path if the soul of a ship were fled? Her bosom throbs as her lover's arms clasp her in fond embrace, and the joyous kiss of briny lips is fresh on her maiden face. No storm can sputter the hemp and song that wells in her laughing throat. Small wonder then that men go bad for the love of the sea and a boat. For the singing sheet is a siren sweet that wells in the hearts of men. Down to the sea they must go once more, though they never come back again. Love you, Skip.
Thanks, Mark. That was very heartfelt from out of Orlando. I'm sorry I missed you when I was there. Mark Miller is the captain of the Titanic. And
he's got a rusty.
He's got a rusty cutlass, and
he saved it in that boat. It was the inflatable that they didn't show you in the movie.
Like that.
Yeah, he had it in his backpack.
I don't think you're on camera though. I think these guys are. Anyway, if we're just about, are we just about there? Do you think? Do you want to start the program, or should we put something else
Yeah,
up?
start with the Navy.
So what's going to happen? I'm going to go talk to the piper.
Yep, you're on camera, buddy.
Hi.
This is
I'm going to
Amanda.
go talk to the piper.
Yep.
He's going to pipe real quick.
Okay.
If it's cool with him.
Okay.
Then they're going to do the Navy hymn.
Okay.
You can do this before that if you want to. Just organize it with these guys, and then Miranda's going to speak.
Okay. So do you want to do that, or shall we? Does he know? Shall I run a video? Anyway, thank you everyone out there for your patience. We are running on mañana time, and there's a fair amount of crowds here. We're going to start shortly, and do you want to just start with music? You want to just start with something? I don't know. She's trying to. Piper looks like he's nice and comfortable now with his pipes put away.
He's going to come and let us know.
All right. He's going to do it. All right. So he's going to start out the program. Okay. Okay. We will strike a bell, I promise. So we'd like to welcome Sean Cummings and his wonderful music to start out the program this evening. Thank you for everyone for coming down.
restless wave, who bids the mighty ocean beat its own appointed limit keep. Oh, hear us when we cry to you, for those in peril on the sea.
Please feel free to eat. That's what all that food is. Please feel free to enjoy it.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Can everybody hear me okay?
Here, this one.
Mika?
Miranda.
Big fat one? Or this one?
The fat one.
Come right in. That one right there.
This one.
That is the stream mic.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Couple just business keeping things first. Please help yourself to the food whenever you like. And secondly, if you have a cell phone, please put them on vibrate or off for respect for the speakers and our musicians that are here today. So I'm Mandy, or Miranda. I'm Skip's daughter, technically a stepdaughter. And I was thinking a lot about what to say about him and my mom together, because they were quite a pair. They were a unit. And we lost my mom in 2017, and that was way too soon. She was only 65, and we didn't expect to lose her so quickly. And after that, I think Skip really wasn't the same without her. So a lot of what I talk about will be about Skip, but also memories of me growing up and things that we did together. They actually met when she was a clerk at a bookkeeper or something like that, and Skip came in and met her, supposedly, and I think he invited her to one of his gigs, and that was the end of the story from there on out. So I wrote a lot so I could remember things. Skip, I considered him a working class hero. To me, he was 7 feet tall and can breathe fire. He was a musician, a sailor, a friend, a parent, and my mom and Skip were inseparable. Both of them were very smart, talented. They were hippies with a touch of badassery in there. Skip was born in Oakland, California here, and he attended Oakland Technical High School. And then he went on to San Francisco State University, where he earned a bachelor's degree, but he studied a lot more than that. My parents were voracious readers. They would study things. He also studied German, chemistry, and archaeology. And when he was going to San Francisco State and taking classes there, he had a professor of an archaeology class that thought he would be a great archaeologist and wanted him to go to Egypt to study Egyptian stuff, and he always regretted that he didn't somehow take him up on that offer. He had to respond to the draft in the Vietnam War era, and he was in the Army for a little while, but he never had to face combat, thankfully. He was a boxer for a long time, and he was a gentleman card player. I think Don might mention playing cards with Skip at some point. And he was sort of a philosopher as well. His dad was an engineer, and his mom was a movie starlet when the talkies started. He had a very strong sense of his Scottish heritage, and that came out in his music, I think, a lot. During the 60s, Skip was a folk singer, and he was in North Beach, and he played all the clubs. He knew folks like Joan Baez and the Smothers Brothers, and he pursued his music even when folk sort of lost its popularity. he kept playing his art. And he managed the open mic, I want to say during the 70s to early 80s, at the Wine Cellar in Ghirardelli Square, where he met Don Burnham and David Grossman. I don't know if that's where he met Jim Nelson, but John Palmy. There's many people that he made friends with there. And he went to those places as well as others, and because my mom went to all his gigs, I did too, which growing up was difficult because he played a lot of gigs in the middle of the week, and I stayed out at nightclubs till he was done and they were closed, and I went to school the next morning. But it gave me a really different view of life in some ways. And when I was a little kid, he taught me how to roadie for him, so I knew where everything got plugged in, and I was very proud of that. At that time, Skip was playing his guitar, and he was a finger picker, which he didn't do quite as much later in life, but he always had a whole handful of picks, one for each finger. And he would also whistle a lot, which he was an expert whistler. He was a fantastic whistler. My favorite songs of his at that time, you might know, one was the Hyde Street Grip, about the cable car grip, Blow Boys Blow, City of New Orleans, about trains, and you know that he worked for the Southern Pacific Railroad for a really long time. One of my favorite songs he played was The Water is Wide, and that always reminded me of Skip with my mom. He encouraged me to be musical and to do artistic things as well. He actually tried to teach me how to play the guitar, and he would actually put me on stage when I was a little kid to whistle with him and occasionally play the flute. I was a painfully shy little kid, and I think that helped bring me out of my shyness. My mom and Skip were always very adventurous throughout their whole lives, and they would pull me frequently out of school to go camping and scuba diving. I would sit on the beach for a long time by myself and wait for them to go diving and come back. And then when I was 12, they told me to get certified, otherwise I'd be sitting on the beach a long time. So we all went scuba diving together. And he was an expert. He was able to use the Hawaiian sling to catch fish. So it's a long spear with a fork on the end of it with a rubber band on the other end. And so he would get things like lingcod, and we'd always eat really well when we were camping. We lived in Cozumel for 6 months when there was nothing there, before it was a real tourist attraction. And they thought it was important to explore and experience other people and cultures. And because of his interest in archaeology, the Mayan culture really fascinated Skip, and he loved stories of lost treasures. He always wore black, and I could never explain that. My friends growing up, I would always ask about that, and when you're a teenager, you want everybody to conform, and they didn't, and that was fine. And I just couldn't explain it to my friends. When I was older and I was going to Cal, I had to move back home for a semester because I couldn't find housing. And he would come to my rescue when I needed it. So one night I closed a cafe I was managing on Piedmont Avenue, and I got home very late, and I went in the house, and the light in the back room of the house went off, and I was so scared that someone was in the house. So I ran out of the house and jumped over the fence, and just then my mom and Skip pulled up from one of his gigs, and they said, "What happened?" I said, "I think there's someone in the house." And I will never forget this about Skip. He reached in behind the seat of his truck, and he pulled out a machete. And he put his hat down, and he went and trudged into the house like Popeye would, and I was fully sure that there would be a hacked up human inside when I went back inside. It ended up a light burned out at just the right time. There was also a time where I had a landlord that didn't want to give me back my deposit, and he thought he could take advantage of me. And I told Skip that, and all he had to do is say, "What's his name and where does he live?" And he came back 45 minutes later and presented me with a check. In the 80s, that was when they really started to get into sailing, and eventually they bought their first boat, Taikuri, which I adored that boat. And it was beautiful. I used to sail with them, but I don't know if you've heard that I get motion sickness when I get off the boat. So when I'm on the boat, I'm great, but I can't get back on the land very well without falling over and barfing. So I'm different. But they just loved it. They loved the romantic lifestyle of the boat. And they took off on a cruise for 3 years on Dougherty, and eventually, after going down our coast and through the Panama Canal and down the other coast, they crashed and broke the boat and then had to come home, and that was heartbreak for them. His music evolved with other things that were evolving in his life, like his interest in being on the water. So he got more into sea shanties and old English ballads and American tunes. He took up the concertina, and in the early 2000s, Disney found his music. And they adapted the hornpipe to Dead Man's Chest. And that was about 15 years ago now, and Skip was 69 years old. And I was happy that he finally got a level of mainstream acclaim that I thought was so long overdue.
Was the Pirates of the Caribbean #2?
I believe the second one. And at the end, if you go through all the the credits, he is the very last name on the movie. So you have to wait through all of that to get to Skip's name. But he finally got the acclaim that I thought he should have had all along, because he influenced a lot of people, and he was a repository of historical music. He played a lot of local clubs like the Wine Cellar, Laval's, Freight and Salvage, the Starry Plow, and he came out of this obscurity into the mainstream. I think he was a leader naturally, and he continued to lead his band, the Starboard Watch, and he faithfully showed up at Quinn's Lighthouse for at least 25 years, maybe longer, more than 25 years, which I'm sure there'll be stories today about, and Heinholz, and he loved doing what he was doing. With me as a kid, they were tough and very disciplined. Strangely, they had Victorian values when it came to me. And if you wanted something, you had to do it yourself. That was their motto about things. So nothing was ever really handed to me. I had to work for it. I think when my mom became sick, they were both really in denial about how sick she was. And after she left us, he was really depressed. And I was with him as much as I could be. She was his constant companion, and her world really revolved around him, and they loved kitties. So I always made sure that he had a cat. And when he came to live with me more recently, his most recent cat was Zazu, who was a portly little gal, and he called her the nickname of 2-ton pink nose. And he loved his cats. He stopped playing his musical instruments gradually after my mom passed. In the last couple of years, he didn't really play them at all. I think it affected him very deeply, and he wasn't interested in really writing songs any longer. He's known for his hornpipe, Billy Bones, Good Whiskey Harbor, Blood and Gold, Make Roses Grow. And he had all of his faculties together till the end. His short-term memory wasn't always so great, but that's par for the course. But he was very clear on what he wanted, who he was. He'd have a little glitch with remembering a word here or there, but his vocabulary was still spectacular. And at the end, he just stopped wanting to eat. He wasn't interested in eating. So we had him entered in hospice, and we told him, if you can just get your weight back up, because he was losing weight quickly, we can get you out of the hospice kind of program. But it gave him a lot of more support, visiting nurses and things like that. And then he got COVID, and I'm positive it was the Delta variant because it happened really quickly, and that was what I think made him decline so rapidly. But he was in his head all the way to the end, and then one morning he just was awake, and then he took a nap, and he slipped away. He never had any pain that I could tell. I think he was tired, and that he wanted to be with my mom. And so now I believe that they're together, and it's hard for me to comprehend that they're both gone. He loved his bandmates so much, and he called them his lads at home. who wanted to be with his lads. He especially loved Jim Nelson. I think you're his oldest and longest friend, and he trusted you enough to guide the band forward. And I've known Jim myself nearly my entire lifetime as well. He always loved and respected you. And there's so many fine musicians that I wish I could list here today. And at the end, we'll recognize some of the friends that we've lost over the years as well. Just know that he loved you all so much, and that they're together. I think they're happy now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miranda. David Henderson, are you in the house somewhere? Raise your hand. Come on up here. Have a few words.
So I'm David Henderson, and thank you for all being here in memory of my father. Miranda has a different story than I do, but my story begins with my mom, and I am Skip's biological son. My mom and dad met in 1961, and again, there was many things that they grew up as beatniks, and they went to all the different places to do the wine cellar, and they did all the rest of that, just like Miranda said. And my father had people like other musicians who had seen him, and he was the entertainer that everybody would all come, and he could project himself, and everybody would know that he was in the room. He was the one to be in the room. You know, he talked about being with, he talked about beating Elvis, made my mom upset that doing that, or he actually went to San Francisco State in 1961 and met Bruce Lee. So, yes. So I knew him in a different manner of fact. My mom and I basically moved out, and that was the story. But for everybody else who loved him, and I continued to try to be part of his life from afar. I called him. I tried everything that I could, you know, to be a son as I could. I did like Miranda did. You know, I went to Mexico with him, and I got my advanced open water for scuba diving because I sat on the shore and did the same thing. So we had the same experiences, and to doing that, I went into the Navy. I spent 10 years in the Navy, and the water was in our blood. He was basically for Southern Pacific for 25 years, and he was just a great man. And I would like to thank everybody for taking the time out of their busy schedule to come and make tribute, memory. And that's all we have, is we have our memories. And this is one of them. And I hope that everybody will enjoy themselves as he would want us to do.
Next we have Don Burnham, who's going to entertain us with some of his stories and some music. He's brought some very talented musicians with him. Let's have a hand for Don Burnham.
pull myself together here.
Okay. Go ahead.
I prepared some actual notes, but I'm going to have to put on my glasses to see them. My name is Don Burnham, and I met Skip undoubtedly about 1964 or 1965, and I was just 17 years old. I had just gotten to Cal, and a guitar showed up in my dorm room, and I took up I wanted to be a humdinger folk singer. And I did that for about 10 years instead of paying attention to college. And in doing that, I met a lot of people, including Skip. I believe I met Skip in North Beach. There were several clubs there that I was playing at called the Coffee and Confusion, the Coffee Gallery, etc. And I believe that Skip, when I met him, was living with David's mother. And David, you'll know, but I'm not sure, but I think they were living on Upper Grand Avenue in an upper flat right near these clubs that we were playing at. Well, I was 9 years younger than Skip, and so I was just starting out. Now, for some reason, people wanted to hear me sing. I don't know why, but Skip was a veteran. By that, he was almost 30. He was a veteran performer, and he had his persona, his domain, his vision of what he wanted to do. He had it figured out, and he was, like David said, he was a leader. He walked into the room. He took command of the situation, and I followed Skip around a little bit. We had some adventures back in the 60s, and in the 70s, he moved into the wine cellar, and I think Skip was responsible for bringing me into the wine cellar, which I appreciated. And there were many memories, and some of you played. I know Rick Dougherty and others played at the Ghirardelli Wine Cellar. Also, Skip was part of the folk music scene. I tried to remember the name of this club, the Drinking Gourd. Anybody remember the Drinking Gourd? The Ribbeltod Worden, the Blue Unicorn Cafe, the Sacred Grounds Cafe. Where else did we play? Rick, the one on Clement Street that became a comedy club, the Holy City Zoo. Skip was part of all of this scene, and he was one of the leading folk singers in the Bay Area. And it was just who else besides Skip could sing and pull it off, the daring young man on the flying trapeze? I mean, who else could do that? And he nailed it. He was great at that, you know. He didn't play concertina then. When I met him, he had that Regal guitar, and then Laval's. Remember? Basement at Laval's. Skip and I, and a lot of you were there quite a bit. I can remember many, many cool nights there with Skip. He took me out sailing and my daughter on his boat, and it was a successful cruise. We made it back. I was going to say, when we played in North Beach, it was really appropriate for Skip because in those days, all the Navy's sailors came to San Francisco, and the ships would come into port, and all these sailors would get on pass, and they'd go around North Beach and go to all the folk music clubs and the bars and the jazz clubs. And Skip was just right in his element with all these sailors they're actually real sailors, although Skip was in the Army. I never figured that out, but anyway. Oh, I was going to mention now, Skip and I both had, in the 70s and 80s, were part of a small lowball poker scene amongst musicians in the East Bay at the Oaks Club. And Skip was a very cautious poker player. He was a Scotsman. He was very careful with his money. And we played poker a lot together. And I just want to tell you that when Skip, I can just see him, if he would win a pot, he would reach out, he would grab all those chips in the middle of the table, and he would bring them back. I'd be sitting over there. He'd bring them back and he'd stack them up. And then he'd look at me and he'd say, "You got to protect the integrity of your stack." And he'd have that impish grin on his face with the locks. He sort of looked like Hal Holbrook. Skip was, I don't know if any of you will agree with me, you musicians, but in my life experience, I never ever met a better pucker whistler than Skip Henderson. He could really whistle. And one time, he asked my band to play at the yacht club in Alameda. They needed a dance band. And I did the gig, and I got him up to sit in with the band. And I said, "Skip, what can we play?" We decided on Sweet Georgia Brown. So we played Sweet Georgia Brown with my jazz band. And that sucker took a great whistling solo. I wish I had a recording of it because it was just top notch. It's top notch. You agree with me? Anybody remember? Okay. Skip worked for the railroad, and he was a hard scrabble working guy, and it was amazing, you know, that life that he lived with the railroad. You know, what a cool thing. I thought that was so cool. It was a great day job. There's a couple people that aren't here today that asked me, you're going to hear from David Grossman in a minute because he sent a video. But David was only about 12 or 13 years old when he first came to the wine cellar. And he was like my little boy, David Grossman. And Skip nurtured him. And I think you guys know this, that he really helped David Grossman back in those days. Whoops. And the other person who couldn't be here today, a friend of ours, is Will Bluefield. David Grossman is in Arizona because his dad is sick. So he couldn't be here today. Will Bluefield is in Montana, somewhere south of Missoula, and he sends his condolences. So I'm really pleased that I was invited to be aboard today, and I brought some of my very best pals to help me sing the song that I sing at occasions like this. I want to introduce the boys in the band that are here today, and they are Rick Dougherty, who you all know, fine singer and guitar player, from the Limelighters and the Kingston Trio, and now the Folk Legacy Trio. Rick Dougherty, Jeremy Cohen, one of the great, you already heard Jeremy come up on violin. Jeff McNish is going to play bass. He lives in Alameda, and I'll guarantee you Jeff McNish is the best sailor in this building. He's a professional sailing instructor, but a great musician. And Milo Sonka, the leader of Lone Star, and another friend of Skip's. All these guys knew Skip. I want to thank them for coming in, and thank Miranda and Dave and everyone who's helped commemorate our buddy. Okay, so let's gather around. We don't need this. And if you know it, you can sing with us. This is a famous tune that was written by Billy Hill, and we're going to give you Empty Saddles from the old crew.
She wants you to shift over because the camera is centered here.
Okay.
There you go. There
All
you
right.
go.
I have not been looking at the camera. I was not even cognizant of that. Well, there's something strange in the old corral. There's a breeze, though the wind has died. Though I'm alone in the old corral, seems like there's someone at my side. Empty saddles in the old corral. Where do you ride tonight? Are you rounding up the doggies, the strays of long ago? Are you on the trail of buffalo? Empty saddles in the old corral. Where do you ride tonight? Are you rounding up the doggies, the strays of long ago? Are you heading for the owl? Empty guns covered with rust. Where do you talk tonight? Empty boots covered with dust. Where do you walk tonight? Empty saddles in the old corral. My tears would be dry tonight if you'd only say I'm lonely when you carry my old pal. Empty saddles in the old corral. Yeah, Rick. Empty guns, they're covered with rust. Where do you talk tonight? Empty boots covered with dust. Where do you walk tonight? Empty saddles in the old corral. My tears would be dry tonight if you'd only say I'm lonely when you carry my old pal. Empty saddles in the old corral. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So, that was wonderful, wasn't it? So, we mentioned that David Grossman has a video, and so far it's only gone out to the streaming. And there's another couple of.
I haven't done David yet.
What's that?
I need to do David's. I haven't done it yet.
Oh, you haven't done it yet. Okay. Well, but Mika is going to be putting this up on YouTube as a recording. And if you'd like to watch the whole of this in entirety, then come on up and tell us, and we'll get you the link. Okay? All right. Yeah, but they can't see it, can they? Oh, okay. All right, we're going to run a video for you, and you all can go up to the tables and get something to eat. And when you come back, then we'll have some other folks that are going to come up and tell you some stories about Skip. And then we're going to have some music by some of Skip's compatriots for the rest of the evening.
So, hey, everybody. I'm David Grossman, and I want to say hi to Don Burnham, who I believe is there, and Jim Nelson, and of course Miranda. I wish I could be there, but circumstances have dictated that I can't be there anyway. So, but Skip, I don't know. When I first met Skip, I was like 14 or 15. It was like 1980 or 1981. And I met him at the Garreley Wine Cellar. He was doing sound for the open mic on Monday nights there. And he was just this character. I mean, he was incredibly... he was a character. I mean, I never met anybody like him who was so in character. He was like a guy that should be playing concertina in a scene from the Pirates of the Caribbean, but somehow he became a real man and ended up at the wine cellar playing concertina and guitar and stuff. But he was like a museum of folk music and folklore. He just knew all these different songs and songs, and he knew the history of the songs, and he could tell you stories, you know, how they were written, why they were written. It was just, he was like Wikipedia of folk music, except he was a human. He was, you know, and I remember him telling me, I guess told everybody, that he got his name Skip. He ran a tugboat into a pier, and they called him the Skipper after that. So that, you know, stories like that's folklore right there. I mean, and it probably really happened, you know. I mean, with Skip. He introduced me to Stan Rogers, who was responsible for pretty much for me writing Bartholomew Roberts, which is a song that sort of made its way into, you know, pirate songbook anthologies, and people at Renaissance festivals, I've heard it there, play it, and I've heard a lot of versions of it, and it's in a computer game even, I think, about Bartholomew Roberts. So I heard about that happening. Anyway, so that was all Skip. I mean, Skip pretty much influenced me in that way. One of the things he did was, I had written a song called When Everything Was New. And I wrote it about my grandfather. I wrote it in Arizona on my stepmother's side, Lou Tisdale. And but Skip heard it, and he thought it would be a great song to get to George Burns. So he drove us up there. The two of us went to Lake Tahoe, and he got us tickets, and we saw George Burns, and somehow he got backstage and got it to his manager. About a month later, I got a letter back saying Mr. Burns was not allowed to listen to unsolicited material, and so therefore he wasn't able to listen to the song. But I have it queued, so I'll play the song here for you.
I recall my younger days when everything was new. You take the horse and buggy home, the air was clear, the sky was blue. Time passed so much slower than it seems to pass today. Now it seems like time just slips away. When I was young, I'd rise at dawn, then wake up Brother Bill. We'd eat our eggs, toast and jam, then head out for the field. I would get the horses while Bill prepared the plow. What a shame our field's a freeway now. Cars and steel machines, do people still have time to dream? Oh, I recall those skies of blue when I was young and everything was new. simple then. We knew our lines quite well. You'd take a damsel dancing with distant hopes of wedding bells. You'd take her hand, you'd take her home, you'd take a kiss or try. Today you take it all, then say goodbye. I guess I've become out of date. This model's just too old. My comrades, they're all passing on. It's hard to fit this modern mold. Maybe I just can't fit the size I just outgrew. But I recall my younger days. The sky was blue, no yellow haze. Yes, I recall when everything was new.
Okay, well that was me playing the song, and but what I wanted to say about George Burns was that I wrote a letter back after getting the letter from them saying Mr. Burns was not allowed to listen to unsolicited material. I said I was 16, I think. I said Mr. Burns should be able to is in a position where he should be able to listen to whatever he wants, you know. And of course I got a letter back saying I didn't understand the intricacies of the music industry. They were very sorry. And thank you for thinking of Mr. Burns, but the fact that Skip believed in the song so much to drive us up there and buy tickets and get it to George Burns, his people, that actually encouraged me more, you know, as far as in life, just being, you know, as far as writing music. I mean, it was a huge thing, and you know, it really did keep me writing and kept me going, and I wanted to do it. You know, it was such a great show of just faith, you know, and he just, you know, I just loved, you know, he was a huge influence, as I said, you know. I used to ask a lot of questions as a kid, and I remember being at Skip's house. We were painting his living room. I don't know how I got recruited to do that, but somehow I was painting his living room, and we were just talking about deep things, or you know, it was getting deep. Okay, the conversation somehow got heavy, and I had been, you know, hanging out with people like Will Bluefield, who was turning me on to Krishnamurti and all these philosophers and stuff. So I had a lot of questions. But Skip said the 5 words that pretty much helped me out and tore down a lot of that stuff, and that's: you are what you do. You are what you do. That's it. That's all you need to know. You are what you do, you know. And, you know, I told it to my son recently, you know, when he was talking about why are we here and all that. That doesn't answer that question, but it does answer how you can, you know, you shouldn't, you know, you aren't what you think you are, what other people say you are. You pretty much are what you actually do in life. And it just made sense to me. It's a very simple thing, but so when you do get weighed down, you know, when your tugboat hits the pier and you start taking on water, you can unload all the other ideas, because at that moment, pretty much you are what you do. You know, you either swim to shore, or you save the boat, but whatever it is, that's what you are, what you just did. Anyway, I guess that's it for me. I do miss Skip. I will miss Skip. I think about him often. I'm very grateful for having known him, and I hope to see those of you who hope to see me too. I hope to see you too. We'll hope to see each other in the near future. Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Hello, everyone. My name's Mark Miller.
And I'm Ken Thibault, also known as Pepe Duval.
And we're with the Rusty Cutlass Pirate Band, and we're so grateful to be a part of Skip's celebration today. We'd like to do this song in honor of him. Goodbye,
Whiskey Harbor, fare ye so well, shantytown days. So long, you patrons of sorrow, I'll think of you looking back now and again. It rained on me all night and into the morning. My cap and umbrella was one and the same. Though I tried wishing I'd never been born, maybe this one time I'm not to blame. Goodbye, good Whiskey Harbor, fare ye so well, shantytown days. So long, you patrons of sorrow, I'll think of you looking back now and again. The good book says Jesus was every man's friend. He walked on the water and he preached in the sand. Some people say he was just a pretender, but I never put down what I don't understand. Goodbye, good Whiskey Harbor, fare ye so well, shantytown days. So long, you patrons of sorrow, I'll think of you looking back now and again. These seasons I've seen have me strewn with afflictions. They burned me to ashes, they've stolen my pride. At the base of my tombstone will bear this inscription: ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. Goodbye, good Whiskey Harbor, fare ye so well, shantytown days. So long, you patrons of sorrow, I'll think of you looking back now and again. Fair winds and following seas, Skip.
Bell, please.
Okay, it's 8 bells. Hello, everybody. Hi. You don't have to listen to me. It's okay. I just prattle on anyway. I just want to say something. I was honored that Miranda thought I was Skip's longest and best friend. I think Skip was more of a friend to me than I was a friend to him. The guy did so many things for me, and I don't know how many times he rescued my various jalopies. He would come out with a tow bar. I've got it stashed up in Jamestown right now, and tow in one of my vehicles when it was broken down in Marin County or San Francisco or someplace. He let me back before I went to Canada. First time, my wife was from Calgary, Alberta, and he let me. I did my clutch in my Chevy that I drove up there in his backyard. That was when he was. That was when he was still. He was seeing Miranda's mother, and he still had a stripper girlfriend living with him there on Harding Street. He was an interesting experience to follow Skip around in his various adventures around. Every day seemed like it was an adventure with him. So many times I'd come back from a long drive from Calgary, Alberta, and show up on Harding Street in front, and Patty would come out with a cup of coffee for me, and I'd start my life again in the Bay Area. When I came to San Francisco in the 60s, you can probably all guess why. And I lived in the Haight for many years, and I remember that I came up from San Diego, and I remember many folk singers. Back in San Diego, I remember I used to idolize the folk singers that I would see at the little coffee houses, and then when I finally wandered into the wine cellar one day and I saw Skip performing, I thought, oh, he's one of those guys up here who does that sort of stuff, and showed up in an open mic, and before long he had me working at the wine cellar, and that was my friend Skip. And he worked on the railroad. He worked on the railroad barges. He worked for the Southern Pacific, and one time he was working on the Belt Line. That was in San Francisco. Until the 80s, there was a railroad line that operated all along San Francisco There's still a roundhouse down there. It's a tourist attraction. Well, it's a restaurant or a bar or something. I don't know. Anyway, Skip worked there when it was an actual railroad roundhouse. And he told me one time they were shipping they had USDA barges that were loading on the docks. United States Department of Agriculture, and whenever those kind of boxcars were loaded with food, why they had to have inspectors and federal inspectors and stuff like that. So they were loading one of the barges up, and they were backing up the train, and one of the barges rolled off of the tracks and right into the bay. So this had to be one barge went into the bay, and so they had to make a federal case out of it, had to have inspectors come out. They had to send a diver to see what happened, see where the barge was. So they sent a diver down, and the diver came back up, and he said, "So what was the serial number on that boxcar that went down here in the bay?" And they said, "Well, why do you want to know?" He said, "Because there's 4 of them already down here." So that was life on the railroad back in those days. And that was one of Skip's many anecdotes. And thank you so much for showing up. We'll be doing some songs. And who else do we have to come up here, Mordecai? Mordecai's going to come up and share his. We took over when Skip went cruising in the Caribbean, when his boat went down. Mordecai and I took over as the Sons of the Buccaneers at Quinn's. We played at Quinn's. Skip started that gig. When I started, Skip did all the singing. I just played guitar. I just sat there and played chords on guitar, and Skip sang for 2 hours every night. And so when Skip took off, and he let me do a song called Jolly Roving Tar that we still use. And then when Skip went cruising, Mordecai and I took over the Sons of the Buccaneers. And then Skip came back, and Skip sort of took over again. But this time Mordecai was in Hawaii, and I started doing half of the songs. And gradually, Skip had trouble singing, projecting, so I started doing more songs. And Skip started doing less. Towards the end of the thing, Skip was playing the squeeze box, and we tried to get him to do 1 or 2 songs. And that's how it was until he finally had to retire up to Eureka, California, where Miranda took good care of him. And so Mordecai, my fellow son of the Buccaneer, is going to come up and say a few things.
Thank you very much. So, Skip used to, at Quinn's, every once in a while, he would read us a poem. And he would hold up a lantern and recite a poem. So I'm going to do that right now, but I want to say a couple of things before I do that. And the one thing that's really important to me about Skip is that prior to him inviting me to go up to Port Townsend for a wooden boat festival to perform up there, where we actually got to meet the skipper of the C.A. Thayer, which is the wooden vessel that's parked along Hyde Street Pier, and he and the Thayer were both born in the same year. We got to entertain at his 100th birthday. Anyway, that's Adrian Renault. And if Skip hadn't invited me to that Port Townsend festival, then I would not have gotten to meet all the wonderful people that I have through Skip. So that's my thanks to him. So I'm not as glib as Skip was, so I have to read, so you'll forgive me, please. This is a poem by John Masefield called Sea Fever. You're probably very well aware of it. I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by, and the wheels kick and the wind's song and the white sails shaking, and a gray mist on the sea's face, and a gray dawn breaking. I must go down to the seas again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied. And all I ask is a windy day with the white clouds flying, and the flung spray and the blown spume and the seagulls crying. I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life. I'm to the gull's way, the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and quiet sleep and a sweet dream when the long trick's over. John Masefield, thank you. We have some very talented people here this evening, and we'd like to give them an opportunity to share their art. And I told one of them who wanted a little bit of a warning to get up here. So there's your warning. Come on up, Roger. Roger Bramble is one of my oldest friends here in the Bay Area. We used to hang out together aboard the CA Thayer on a Saturday night or so, when it was an irregular Saturday night, because Dave Nettle would send out his newsletter to all the folks who had signed up, but he would never in advance say which Saturday night it was. So we were the Hyde Street Pier irregulars. Roger?
Hi. So I've known Skip for about 35 years, mid-80s, I think. I'm in Dog Watch, sort of a companion band to his band Starboard Watch. And so we very often would, get together and we'd play at his gigs or he'd play at our gigs, and we call it kind of all intermixed. A lot of times at the Festival of the Sea at the Hyde Street Pier. I have one memory I wanted to share with you all. It wasn't playing music or whatever. So I'm more of a car guy than a sailing guy. And back in '93, August of '93, I was in the BMW club, and they were having their, they call Oktoberfest. It was people from all over the country would gather and have a festival, do all kinds of car stuff. So I inherited the car gene from my parents, especially my mother. She was as much a car guy as anybody else. So she had this old Aston Martin, 55 Aston Martin, and she had met this guy in a tour of Europe that had come over from Australia to go on this tour in Europe, and they fell in love, and so they had this long distance relationship. She'd go to Australia and he'd come here. He had a wooden sailboat, and she wasn't a sailor by any means, but she went over there and she went out sailing with him and such. So he came over to visit during all that was happening. So I thought it'd be really wonderful to, I had friends with being in the band. I knew Skip, and there's another guy that had a boat called Bird. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but anyway, so I talked to Skip and the guy that owned the Bird about going out sailing. So he did. It was the Thai Curry. And you probably don't remember, David, but you were actually there that day. You were already in the Navy. I remember that. I guess you had to leave for that week or weekend or whatever. It's the only time I ever met you. And we went out sailing, went out through the gate and back in. And it was just a wonderful day, and one of my favorite memories of doing things with Skip over the years. It's the only time I ever did manage to go sailing with him. But he was totally gracious and wonderful, and inviting my mom and her boyfriend to come along and for Saul to go sailing. It was the three of us and Skip and his son, and I've never forgotten it. It was just it's one of those indelibly etched on my brain cells kind of things that happened, all the times that I've done stuff with him. So, yeah, it's good now. So I wanted to sing a song, and I wanted to have the other guys come join me. It's a song by Archie Fisher called "A Man You Don't Meet Every Day," and I think it's appropriate for Skip. And the chorus is, and I want y'all to join in, and you'll get it after the first time. It's really easy. The chorus is, "So be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day." So we'll do a instrumental.
Okay, good.
C, yeah.
Okay.
Well, my name is Jock Stewart, and I'm a canny gone man, and a roving young fellow I've been. So be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day. I have acres of land, I have men I command, and I've always a shilling to spare. So be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day. So come fill up your glasses with brandy and wine. Whatever it costs, I will pay. So be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day. So I took out my dog, and him I did shoot, all down in the county Kildare. So be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day. One more time. So be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day. Thank you. Here's the Skip. He was an original. They broke the mold, that old cliche, they broke the mold when they made him.
Very good. Okay.
What are we going to do now?
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do now. What we're going to do now is wonder what we're going to do now. Oh, actually, I know what we're going to do now. We're going to have another song here by Rick Dougherty, and this is a song that I used to enjoy hearing Skip sing in his beautiful tones. Rick Dougherty.
This is like a traditional song. There's going to be several of them, I think, that are sung at various special occasions. And this is when they asked me to sing for Skip, that I met at the wine cellar in the deli and sang down there in the cellars all those times. So I'm glad I got a chance to sing something for him. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the leaves are falling. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be here in sunshine or in Danny boy, I love you so. And if ye come as all the roses are dying, and I am dead, though dead I well may be, then come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me, and I shall hear the softy tread above me, and so my grave shall warmer, sweeter be. For when you kneel and tell me that you love me, then I shall sleep in peace until you come to me.
Get a bell ring for that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So next we have a request from Miranda. Now, I understand that this is one of her favorite songs that Skip used to do, singing in the clubs in San Francisco. And so we have Susko Varda here to sing the lead, and we have Alan to play bass on it. This is Water is Wide.
Just that mic. Yeah. So you're going to just start.
Yes. This is one of my favorite songs too. There is a ship, and she sails the sea. She's loaded deep, as deep can be, but not as deep as the love I'm in. I know not if I sink or swim. I held my back against an oak, thinking it was a trusty tree, and then it fell, and then it broke, just as my love proved false to me. Now love is gentle, and love is kind. The sweetest flowers
next.
Oh, okay. So that was Suska Varda, ladies and gentlemen. I know you enjoyed her.
And friends.
And friends. And estranged friends sometimes. Strange? No, I forget that. Anyway. This is Alan Lockheed, and he will perform Sally Gardens on his concertina.
Right. I was playing concertina the night I met Skip, and that would have been about 1980 at Moriarty's Bar on Upper Shattuck. It was through that he invited me to come out to Pier 23, where they were appearing at Starboard Watch. And Skip was just somebody we were glad to know, and I miss him so much. And it's a real pleasure to be associated with his friends. I just want to say that. Thank you. It was down in the Sally Garden, my love and I did meet. She crossed the Sally Garden with her little snow white feet. She bid me to take love easy, like the grass growing on the weir. But I was young and foolish, and with her did not agree. In a field down by the river, my love and I did stand, and upon my leaning shoulder she placed her snow white hand. She bid me to take love easy, like the leaves growing on the tree. But I was young and foolish, and with her did not agree.
Now we're going to do a song by Skip Henderson. I was with Skip at in Canyon, where he did recording with J. Neil Young, and he had this this tape. He had this soundtrack tape of people shouting and having a fight, and it was his idea that Skip would play these hornpipes and would have this fight going on in the background. And that later attracted the attention of Disney Studios or something, and it became incorporated in one of the movies, as was Quarter mentioned. Anyway, another song apparently they were interested in, but I guess they didn't use, was this here song right here, which is kind of based on... we got a couple of songs based on Robert Louis Stevenson's. Are you going to play on this? Or are we getting ready here? Where's my band? Oh, he's got his fingers taped. Okay. Alan played with us at Thursday, and he played this bass all night. And
Larry Johnson's act.
Larry Johnson, friend of Skip Henderson for many years. They were the New Tradition Singers, If any of you ever heard any of their stuff, I've got an old tape. They did a version of South Australia with a Limelighters type modulation harmony at the end, which is incredible. But okay, they're talking behind my back here. What are we doing? Okay. Now good morning to you, Billy Bones, Billy Bones. Good morning to you, charming Billy. When I last saw your arms, they were brown as my own. Now through white fingers, the grasses have grown. And what of this cutlass, so carelessly thrown on the ground? Billy Bones, Billy Bones. Everybody. Bones, 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 Billy Bones. Send him off to Davy Jones. Hop around and go, and when she's bold, you'll have your last fill, Billy Bones. Now good morning to you, Billy Bones, Billy Bones. Good morning to you, charming Billy. Now for that chest you're laying on, I sailed the salt sea, where you and I and Flint did agree. We divvied those contents up in the 3 golden jewels, Billy Bones, Billy Bones. Hey! Bones, 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 Billy Bones. Send him off to Davy Jones. Hop around and go, and when she's bold, you'll have your last fill, Billy Bones. Now good morning to you, Billy Bones, Billy Bones. Good morning to you, charming Billy. Now for that chest you're laying on, I sailed the salt sea. When you and I and Flint did agree, we give you those contents up in the 3 golden jewels, Billy Bones, Billy Bones. Oh, Bones, 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 Billy Bones. Send him off to Davy Jones. Hop around and go, and when she's bold, you'll have your last fill, Billy Bones. Now good morning to you, Billy Bones, Billy Bones. Good morning to you, charming Billy. Now old Flint is gone, that leaves only me. I'll shovel your pony, arson the sea, and I'll drink to your health that you'll ever see without eyes, without lips, scully bones. Bones, 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 Billy Bones. Send him off to Davy Jones. Hop around and go, and when she's bold, you'll have your last fill, Billy Bones. Again! Bones, 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 Billy Bones. Send him off to Davy Jones. Hop around and go, and when she's bold, you'll have your last fill, Billy Bones. Bones, 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 Billy Bones. Send him off to Davy Jones. Hop around and go, and when she's bold, you'll have your last fill, Billy Now that thing at the end, that's a Skip joke. There used to be a little in joke he would do. He would end the chorus and then pause and then start up again. That's why we did that. Thank you, Skip.
Tell a story for a second.
Now this is a famous poem written by young E. Allison, based on the Treasure Island story by Robert Louis Stevenson, and there's many arrangements of it. Everybody has a different one. And this was Skip's. Slow it down. Are we ready yet? Okay. 15 men on a dead man's chest. Yo ho ho!
Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum.
Drinking the devil had done for the rest.
Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum. Bottle of rum. Bottle of rum.
Well, now the mate was fixed on a bosun's pike. The bosun reigned by a marlin spike. The cookie's neck was marked belike. It had been ripped by fingers 10. And there they lay, all good dead men. A break of day in a boozing again.
Bottle of rum. Bottle of rum.
Now 15 men on the whole ship's list.
Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum.
Dead men be down and the rest gone whist.
Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum. Bottle of rum. Bottle of rum.
Well, now the skipper lay with his knob and gore, with his scullion's axe, as she gets shore. The scullion, he was stabbed times 4, and there they lie under soggy skies, dripped all day long in outstaring ice, through murk sunset and foul sunrise.
Bottle of rum. Bottle of rum.
15 men of them stiff and stark.
Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum.
10 of the crew bore the murder mark.
Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum. Bottle of rum. Bottle of rum.
It was a cutlass swipe or an ounce of lead, a yawing hole in a battered head, the scuppers of blood with rotting red. There they lay, I damn my eyes, all lookouts fixed on paradise, both souls bound just contrary wise.
Bottle of rum. Bottle of rum.
15 men of them good and true.
Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum.
Every man Jack could have sailed with old Hugh.
Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum. Bottle of rum. Bottle of rum.
There was chest on chest full of Spanish gold, a ton of plate in the middle hold. The cabin was a riot of stuff untold, and there they lay that took the flum. The sightless blur of eyes struck dumb, while we shared all by the rule of thumb.
Bottle of rum. Bottle of rum.
15 men on a dead man's chest.
Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum.
Drinking the devil had done for the rest.
Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum. Bottle of rum. Oh, bottle of rum.
And so we wrapped them up in a mainsail tight, twice 10 turns on a hawser's right. We heaved them over and out of sight with a yo-ho-ho and a fare you well, a solemn punch and a solemn smell, 6 fathoms deep on the road to hell. Bottle of rum. Bottle of rum. Bottle of rum. Arrangement by Mr. Skip. Okay, we're gonna do a folk favorite for you all.
Just one little comment. Skip was a really good whistler, and it turns out I recorded Skip doing a set at the Freight and Salvage 80s probably, and I found it on my hard drive the other day, and so I burned a copy from Miranda. So in there, he actually explained something which I had never heard before. He says when he was very young, he and his brother went up to their father, a very Scottish man, and said, we demand that you buy us a harmonica. And the dad said, I'll teach you to whistle. That's the story.
By the way, that's one thing we used to do at Quinn's back in the day. Skip would he would play on his guitar and he would whistle the famous whistling song, the march from Bridge on the River Kwai. He would have the whole bar would be whistling, you know. Da 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 da. They would do that one. That was fun.
This is is we're gonna try to do Carl Sandburg Proud. We come on the sloop John B, my grand-nephew and me, round Nassau town we did roam, drinking all night, even had a flight, oh yeah. I feel so broke out, I wanna go home. So hoist up the John B. sail, see how the mainsail sets, call for the captain ashore, let me go home, oh, let me go home, I wanna go home, oh, please let me go home, why don't you let me go home, yeah, I feel so break up, I wanna go home. First mate, he got stoned, sat on the captain's throne. They had to come and drag him away. Sheriff John Clone, why don't you leave us alone? Oh, yeah, I feel so break up, I wanna go home. With up the John B. sail, see how the mainsail sets, call for the captain ashore, let me go home, I want to go home, why don't you let me go home, yeah, I feel so break up, I want to go home. Second mate, he got the shits. What? Reading all of the grits. Oh yeah. Then he sounded just like a French horn. Sheriff John Stone, why don't you leave us alone? Yeah, I feel so break up, I wanna go home. Hoist up the John B. sail, see how the mainsail sets, call for the captain ashore, let me go home, I wanna go home, why don't you let me go home? Yeah, I feel so break up, I wanna go home. One more time. Yeah, I feel so break up, I wanna go home. One more time. Uno más. I feel so break up, I wanna go home. Thank you.
Marion Carter. He,
Here's your spot. X marks the spot.
As a note, when I came back from Canada in 1981, I gave Skip a copy of Stan Rogers' LP, Between the Breaks. Nobody bound here had ever heard of Stan Rogers at that time, but they soon learned. And Skip was enthralled.
her in a pouring, driving rain. Her skipper, he'd been drinking, and the mate, he felt no pain. Too close to 3 Mile Rock, and she was dealt her mortal blow, and the Mary Ellen Carter settled low. There was just us 5 aboard her when she finally was awoke. We worked like hell to save her, heedless of the cost, and the groan she gave as she went down, it caused us to proclaim that the Mary Ellen Carter rides again. Not yet. Her owners wrote her off, not a nickel would they spend. She gave 20 years of service, boys, and met her sorry end. But insurance paid the loss to us, so let her rest below. And then laughed at us and said we had to go. But we talked to her all winter, some days around the clock. Work
$750,000 Canadian
at the dock, and with every jar that hit the bar, we swore we would remain to make the Mary Ellen Carter rise again. Now, all right, rise again, rise again, rise again, rise again, that her name may not be lost to the knowledge of men. All those who loved her best and were with her till the end will make the Mary Ellen Carter rise again. All spring now we've been with her, on a barge lent by a friend. 3 dives a day in a hard hat suit, and twice I've had the bends. Thank God it's only 60 feet and the currents here are slow, or I'd never have the strength to go below. But we packed her rent and stocked her vents, dog hatch and portal down. We put cable to her fore and aft and girded her around. Tomorrow noon we'll hit the air and then take up the strain and make the Mary Ellen Carter rise again. Rise again, rise again. That her name not be lost to the knowledge of men. All those that love her best and were there till the end will make the Mary Ellen Carter rise again. Saved our lives too many times, living through the gale, and the laughing drunken rats have left her to her sorry grave. They won't be laughing in another day. And you, to whom adversity has dealt the final blow, with smiling bastards lying to you everywhere you go, turn to, put out all your strength and arm and pardon, and make the Mary Ellen Carter rise again. Rise again, though your heart it be broken. Rise again, rise again, though your heart it be broken, and learn about to end. No matter what you've lost, be it a home, a love, a friend, like the Mary Ellen Carter rise again. One more time. Rise again, rise again, rise again, rise again, though your heart is be broken and a life without to end. No matter what you've lost, be it a home, a love, a friend, like the Mary Ellen Carter rise again. Take it home, James. That one for Skip, and thank you. Let's see, what have we got? Oh, maybe not. We already have Daniel.
Fiddler's Green. Green. We already did Danny Boy.
All right, fine. Fiddler's Green.
G. Yeah. All right. This is another one I learned from Skip.
Skip, what happened there? Okay, we're unplugged. Okay, we're back on the air.
This is one I learned from Skip. It's an old. A few people recorded this. We found out later it wasn't in the public domain. It was written by a fellow named John Connolly, Irish librarian from Grimsby, England, and he had quite a bit of fame from this song. He was apparently quite honored. Anyway, Skip, I learned this because Skip used to do it. And I do it in Skip's key, which is a little high for me in my later years, but we'll do as best we can here.
And what key is that, James?
G.
Gee whiz.
As I roamed by the dockside one evening so rare, to view the salt water and take the salt air, I spied an old fisherman singing this song. He said, "Take me away, boys, me time is not long. Get me up in me oilskins and jumpers. No more on the docks I'll be seen. Just tell me, old shipmates, I'm taking a trip, mate, and I'll see them someday on Fiddler's Green." Now the Fiddler's Green is a place I hear tell, where the fishermen go if they don't go to hell. The sky is so blue and the dolphins do play. That cold coast of Greenland is far, far away. Get me up in me oilskins and jumpers. No more on the docks I'll be seen. Just tell me, old shipmates, I'm taking a trip, mate, and I'll see them someday on Fiddler's Green. The sky is so clear and there's never a gale, and the fish jump on board with a flip of their tail. You lie at your leisure with nothing to do, while the old man's below making tea for the crew. Let me up in the oilskins and jumpers. No more on the docks I'll be seen. Just tell me, old shipmates, I'm taking a trip, mate. I'll see them someday on Fiddler's Green. When you get back to dock and your day's work is through, there's clubs and pubs and lassies there too. The girls are so pretty, the beer's always free, with a bottle of rum growing on every tree. Get me up in the oilskins and jumpers. No more on the docks I'll be seen. Just tell me, old shipmates, I'm taking a trip, mate, and I'll see them someday on Fiddler's Green. I won't need a harp, not a halo, not me. Just the wind at my back and a fine rolling sea. I'll play an old squeeze box as we roll along, with the wind in the rigging to sing us a song. Wrap me up in the oilskins and jumpers. No more on the docks I'll be seen. Just tell me, old shipmates, I'm taking a trip, mate, and I'll see them someday on Fiddler's. Dress me up in me oilskins and jumpers.
No more on the docks I'll be seen. And tell me, old shipmates, I'm taking a trip, mate,
and I'll see them someday on Fiddler's Green. Thank you for singing. Thank you, Skip, for those songs.
Yeah. Leave her Johnny. Getting towards the end.
Okay, this is the as I used to say at Quinn's, this is the end of our entertainment portion of the program. Let's see.
That will just be annoying.
What key? Yes. Well, the times are. Let's see, is that too? Let me bring it down. Well, the times are tough and the wages are low. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. And it's time for us to roll and go. And it's time for us to leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Well, it's rotten bread and weevily blowed, and leave her, Johnny, leave her. Well, you'll eat it or you'll pass away dead, and we're bound for us to leave her. And it's leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her.
Oh, pump or drown, we've had full score. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Unless I get a bonus, I ain't working no more.
And it's time for us to leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Now we pumped her bullies night and day. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. No matter how long we couldn't pump her dry, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Well, now, Captain, you're about to lose your crew. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. We're tired of your ship and your mate and you, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Thank you, friends. Thank you so much. Thank you, friends.
We'd like to thank our production crew at this point. Mika and Angie, who have done such a superlative. Andy, I'm sorry, do that. They have such a wonderful job. This has been so confusing to get it all together with all the little parts and to choreograph everybody who we're sharing this with. But they did a wonderful job. And Andy, even when she kept saying, move over here so the camera can see you, I said, you know, I can't do that unless you put some blue X's down here, you know. And she actually went over and put the blue X down there for me to stand.
Oh, I got a lot of X's.
How many of you have any X's?
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so we're going to put Mika on the spot here. He's got a whistle.
Oh,
he's
that's
going
right.
to toot.
I forgot.
Hey, Micah.
Mika.
No, you.
Mika.
Hi. It's a good thing that we didn't just take the peek at the floor.
That's the next step. Take your feet right in the spot.
So this will live on YouTube forever and ever and ever, and so you'll be able to go back and relive it. Thanks to everybody that helped. There's a lot of people behind the scenes, but
want to thank Mark Zuckerberg
for the billions and billions of dollars he has.
I'm going to see him in Hanukkah. I'll light a candle for him.
Just before I came here, there are two things I'd like to give shout-outs to. One is that Steve and Sue in Baltimore, Steve was in the Navy, Steve Lewis, and he gifted me this, which he used at sailors' memorials. So you'll hear it, if I can manage to hit it. But he also, just before me coming here, emailed this to me, and he said, this is what we would say, and I thought it was incredibly appropriate. So if you just give me 60 seconds. It's called The Watch. For years, this sailor has stood the watch, while some of us were in our bunks at night. This sailor stood the watch. While some of us were in school learning our trade, this shipmate stood the watch. Yes, even before some of us were born into this world, this shipmate stood the watch. In those years when the storm clouds of war were seen brewing on the horizon of history, this shipmate stood the watch. Many times he would cast an eye ashore and see his family standing there, needing his guidance and help, needing that hand to hold during those hard times. But he still stood the watch. He stood the watch for 20 or 30 or 40 or 80 almost 84 years. He stood the watch so that we, our families, and our fellow countrymen could sleep soundly in safety each and every night, and some of us could have a shanty. Knowing that a sailor stood the watch, today we are here to say, shipmate, the watch stands relieved. Relieved by those you have trained, guided, and led. Shipmate, you stand relieved. We have the watch. Bosun, stand by to pipe the side. Shipmate going ashore. I got the word last night that Roop wasn't going to be here, so we got a little timing, but we got the tune out. So we practiced that for days. No, not really.
So we have one more tune for Skip. But before we do that, I would like to say that this will be on YouTube, so if you want to have the link, just let us know, and we'll send you the link. You can hear this and the other videos that you haven't seen because they're going out on the stream. There's the last one. Is one that was contributed by Hap Smith, who is Skip's bass player for a long time, and it's a live recording of Skip singing Tom Bowling. So we'd like you to join us. The Parting Glass. You have the words. I've been advised that the words are in the wrong order.
Ahoy, everybody. I'm Rachel Siegel, also known as...
I mean, I got them right off the web, so they must be correct, right?
No.
Well, I'm informed that verse 2 is really the chorus, and verse 3 and 4 should be one verse and sung together. However, the person who shall remain nameless, and I disagree on that, because I think I remember Skip doing it the way that it's on the paper.
Yes, he did.
Okay,
he
fine.
did do it. That's
All
how
right.
he did it.
All right.
Everybody does it their own way. It's
Yeah,
called the
that's right.
folk process, okay?
Yeah, folk
You get to
process.
do it, which is whatever comes to your brain at the spur of the moment. Is the way
Okay,
you
so
do it.
if you have the words in front of you, you're welcome to pick them up and sing in whatever key you'd like, because that's the way it happens.
Right. Don't worry about it.
L. It's the key of L, because that's what it's going to sound like. It's going to sound like L. Okay. All right, pick a key, any key.
Of all the money that I spent,
Give him the key.
I spent it in good company. Yes, and all the harm that ever I've done, alas, was done to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, now to memory now I can't recall. Come fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you. And I picked this key because I can only sing the high part in this key. So, of all the friend comrades that e'er I had, and they were sorry for my going away. Yes, and all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they would bid me one more night to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, now I'll gently rise and I'll softly call, good night and joy be with you. Oh, if you got another verse, you can sing it if you want to. Thank you.
That's right. We'd like to welcome back your friendly piper at yourpiper.com. Is that right? Okay, and this is Sean. Come on in.
Are we going to let other people just say any little...
Oh, sure. Okay, hold on a second. Is there anyone that would like to say anything?
Before you pipe us up.
Anybody who's got any comment, question, song, or something, anyone, any one of you can come on up. If not, what do you got, Don? Introduce the piper. Okay.
There's one thing that...
Wait, Miranda wants to say something.
Wait a minute. You're not until later.
Well, wait a minute, Miranda. Sorry. Oh, all right.
Okay, all right.
Really quick.
You're going to be on again.
Oh, okay. Well, this is really quick because it seems like the right time. So no one knows why Skip was named Skip, because his name really wasn't Skip. It was Howard. And he's such not a Howard. So he when he was about, I think, 14 years old, he was taking a little dinghy for sailing, and he smashed it into a pier. And after that, everyone said, "Hey, great, Skipper." And so he became Skip from when he was about 14 on. And the other thing is when people say, "Well, what is your name?" to him, he'd say Skip. And they said, "Come again, I didn't get that." He goes, "Skip," kind of like between a hop and a jump. And that was the way he introduced himself all the time. And I just thought that was a funny anecdote that he
Sorry to
had that.
get in your way.
No worries.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, more bagpipes. Sean! We have one more tradition, and that is to honor all of those of Skip's friends who have preceded him. We're going to announce their names. Jim, where are you? Oh, okay. Well, he can't do it. There's a list. You name the names, I'll ring the bell. So Jim's going to read their names, and we're going to toll the bell for them.
Wait a minute, I'm supposed to read this?
You're supposed to read that. Or you want to toll the bell?
Where are the names? Point me in the right direction here.
Right over there.
Oh, yes. Some of you may know these people. They played with us a lot. There was George Aschuler, who played the drums, played a drum with us. We have Lloyd Jones, Deputy Sheriff of San Francisco, who Skip taught how to play the melodeon, and he was a great whiskey tenor, and he played with us for many years. Larry Johnson, that's his bass right there. Larry Johnson left that bass for us, and thank you, Larry. And he played with Skip. They had the New Tradition Singers. They had some tight harmonies. They were something. I've still got a couple of recordings of them. Not a good one, unfortunately. Bruce Sherman, who used to play the squeeze box. Some of you may remember Bruce. He helped found the Starboard Watch actually at Pier 23. Ed Dobbins, you remember Ed, storyteller. Steve Wainwright was our bass player with the Sons of the Buccaneers, and he knew Skip. Steve Wainwright played bass for us for many years. J. Neil Young, recording. A lot of people in here probably recorded at Jay's studio out there at Canyon, and he recorded Skip's 2 albums out there. We have Tim Daw. Some of you remember from the Wine Cellar. He took over. Skip used to run the open mic and kind of booked all the music. Anyway, he got tired of doing that, and he passed it on to Tim. Yeah, 144 boogies, a gross of boogies indeed. And of course, Mr. Skip Henderson, that we're all here to honor. And I think that's it. Is anybody else that I left out? Patty, we left out Patty. How could we talk Patty Henderson? Anyone else remember? Any friends of Skip?
Captain Al Lutz.
Captain Al Lutz. Yes, we used to go out on the I remember going out with him on the Alma. You know, it was like sailing your front doorstep. It was it was an experience. Anybody else? A.L. Ekstrom, is he gone? We don't know. You know? Okay. I met him once. Anybody else? Anybody? We probably haven't named everyone. So if we. Who?
Nanette Radford.
Okay. Someone.
Red-haired woman Skip had a crush on.
That doesn't narrow it down a whole lot. We'll have to ring the bell a lot of times, I think.
What about the boss at the wine cellar?
Paul? What's his name? Paul?
Paul.
We don't know. He had a Danish name. We can't pronounce it. You know?
Croissant?
And I don't even know if he's dead. He may be alive. He was. Anyway. Okay.
So
That's
the final stroke is 8 bells for Skip Henderson.
And Addie Johnson.
Who?
Addie Johnson.
Addie Johnson.
Annie Johnson.
Oh, Annie. Oh, yeah, sure. Yes. Arnie. All right. 8 bells. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, everyone who sat and watched, and we appreciate you. If you like shanties, you can go to Quinn's and Heinhold Sea Shanty Crew on Facebook. That's where we live. That's where a lot of the shanty tradition lives, and keep an eye out, keep abreast as to things that we'll be doing. We do once a month at Sláinte, and also soon the Sons of the Buccaneers will be coming back, hopefully, to Quinn's. So thanks very much, and we appreciate you, and fair winds, everybody.